kind of started. So if you guys who like to stand up want to stand up. All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the nation which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I just learned yesterday that the pledge my kids learned in the school is different than the one I learned in school. So I bet we're all saying a slightly different version. You know that they slightly change it all the time. I just learned that. All right. Stan, would you like to lead us in prayer today?
Sure. Let's bow our heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for these gifts, the gifts of beautiful morning, of the opportunity to join together in fellowship. We thank you for the continued healing of those that have been ailing. Welcome Brian Kennedy back. Glad to see he's doing well. Wish the new life that Davis will be raising best in the world. We ask that you pray for those that have no one else to pray for them. We ask all of this in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
I think our only guest so far today is Ashley. Welcome, Ashley. Do you have any CKI updates for us?
Not at the moment. We are heading into decon soon. The C's fundraiser is kicking, it's going. And yeah, we watched it in figures for a social last Friday. So that was super fun. It was kind of upset I didn't get to watch it because I was out. But yeah, I love that movie.
That's awesome. You can watch it last month for Black History Month and this month for Women's History Month. Like double feature. All right. Since our speaker's not here, we'll do a couple announcements. I just confirmed with her last night, so hopefully everything is okay. I'm going to check my email real fast. C's Candy is still open. You can, of course, buy C's Candy from anyone on the Key Clubs, on the Action Club, or on the Circle K Club. You can also buy it directly from our members. Rufus has a sheet, Larry has a sheet, I have a sheet, Norma has a sheet. So if you would like to buy C's Candy, you can contact one of those people. If you want a sheet, you can contact me and get a sheet. The orders are due on Friday. So, oh, Holly's here. Okay, Holly Grace, my goodness. It's because I have a Holly in my family. I'm like pre-trained. All right. So anyhow, if you wanted to order C's Candy, you have about 6 days left, and then you'll be out of luck. And C's Candy will be delivered before Easter, as long as we get our order in timely. So we appreciate that. And if you wanted to pay via Venmo, oh, Chris Martin and David also have sheets. If you wanted to pay via Venmo, multiple people that I just listed in that list have a Venmo, and you can pay them via Venmo and they'll work it out. I'll do our board announcements and before the raffle after our speaker. Our speaker today is Holly Grace Curry with Haven. We are super excited to have Holly here. Holly Grace, see, I did it again because I have a just plain Holly.
It's okay.
To talk to us about the Haven Women's Center and what they do here in Turlock, because I just had someone the other day tell me I didn't know they had a Turlock location. So I thought it was a great time to have you guys come speak.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm going to pull up my notes so I don't miss anything. I am the director of our youth and prevention program, so I'm really steeped in the world of, what's happening with young people who intersect our agency. So I just want to make sure that I give due attention to all of our other great programs and services. And I'm going to put some contact, like follow-up information in the chat in case anyone wants to access this later. Oh, apparently I have a very thirsty dog behind me. I don't know if you can hear it. She's drinking like 5
That's
gallons
okay.
of water.
We're a Kiwanis for Kids organization, so there's always pets and dogs, and there's like one window that you haven't seen yet because they're muted, but they have like 7 participants in one place. So I'm sort of
That's
like
fantastic. I love it. So Haven, for folks who don't know, we were founded in 1977, so we've been serving the county for quite a lot of years. And we provide free and confidential services to people who've experienced domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault or human trafficking, primarily sex trafficking, but we're also delving a little bit into labor trafficking because those are so closely intertwined. I did add our link to our website for follow-up. You can get all of this information and so much more there. A lot of what I'm sharing about our services is sort of pre-COVID services. So, you know, this pandemic has changed the way everybody does business. So currently Haven is not open to the public except by appointment only. So our office doors are closed and we only have staff there, you know, very infrequently as needed to meet with clients. So most everything is being provided virtually, either by phone or by Zoom or other kind of video conferencing services. So I'll definitely leave time for Q&A at the end. So if I skip over something that's of special interest to you, please let me know. And if we don't have time today, I'm happy to share my contact information and you can follow up with me at a more convenient time. But I think that Haven is mostly known for our shelter services. In fact, a lot of us, or people call us, you know, Haven's Women's Shelter. And we have had a shelter for many, many years. It's really designed to be a safe place for survivors and their children who are identified as having a very high danger level due to the domestic violence or trafficking. We do provide shelter for sexual assault victims too, but the services look just a little bit different. At the shelter, people are provided with pretty much everything they need, you know, culturally appropriate food and clothing and safe respite for, as we say, as long as they need, but ideally it's, you know, a 60 to 90 day stay. We provide a lot of services on site for shelter clients, including, you know, case management, crisis intervention, and lots of safety planning. People's safety plan changes a lot as they move through their process. And they have support groups on site for adults and for children, and then also legal advocacy and support with restraining orders. So we don't have attorneys on staff, but we do help people to prepare their own papers for restraining orders. We offer really broad scale advocacy. What we call our advocates at the office, they do a lot. So they provide crisis intervention, safety planning. They do individual peer counseling with folks. They also help prepare restraining orders and do court accompaniment when the courts are open and they're doing services in person. So I would say that our legal department has probably been the busiest during the pandemic. Many of you may have heard that, you know, there's a pandemic within a pandemic during this time where people are increasingly isolated and at home and kids aren't going to school, and we just have a lot fewer support systems happening right now. So that does increase people's likelihood of experiencing family violence and having fewer options for getting help. What we're also seeing is that sometimes we feel like we're getting less calls to our crisis line, even though we know that the need is growing. And I think a lot of that is due to people not having a safe space to even call. You know, if you're sheltered at home with someone who's causing harm, it's real difficult to make that phone call to get help. You know, a year ago, it was okay to run to the store or drop your kids off at school. You might have time to make a call to the crisis line during those trips out where your partner isn't suspecting you of maybe getting help for yourself. Again, I said that I'm with Youth and Prevention Services, so we do offer both intervention and prevention services. So our intervention services are for youth ages 5 to 18 who have some direct experience with either childhood sexual abuse or exploitation. Maybe they are growing up in a home where they're seeing domestic violence happening, or maybe they're teens who are having unhealthy or unsafe dating relationships. So youth are often these kind of silent witnesses when family violence is happening. A lot of people think that the kids maybe aren't as affected as they are, but we certainly believe that kids both need and deserve validation. They need someone to listen. They need opportunities to, you know, express themselves authentically and creatively through art and movement, and they need coaching and mentorship in learning healthier ways of expressing all those complicated feelings that come from being a survivor of abuse or a witness to the abuse of people that you love. Our prevention services are also offered to youth ages 5 to 18, and this can happen in a whole variety of settings. We go to a lot of schools. Well, prior to COVID, we went to a lot of schools and community partner agencies like Center for Human Services Hutton House will provide weekly groups there. And we also have several staff who provide groups at Juvenile Hall and to Stanislaus County Youth affiliated with probation. Often it's a condition of their probation to come through one of our programs. And we meet people where they are to get them the information that they need. Our prevention groups are primary and secondary. So sometimes we're targeting just a general youth population, like all the sixth graders at Cunningham Elementary. Or maybe it's more specific, like these 15 kids from this school district who are foster youth, who maybe were removed from the home because of family violence. So we can really tailor our programs appropriately. We do offer them in, right now it's English and Spanish. We don't have very many requests for full Spanish groups, but we have many Spanish speakers on staff, so we can either do simultaneous bilingual groups or separate those groups as needed. As we also offer support groups for adults. So these are, again, happening remotely through Zoom right now, but they used to be, well, they were provided at different days and times, but we had separate groups for both survivors of domestic violence and then for sexually abused or trafficked adults. Unfortunately, we don't provide childcare, so we know that that is a little bit of a barrier. Doing in-person services, so that's something that we're trying to work around, but we're just not licensed for that. We have a whole crew of staff who are our trauma response advocates, and they provide 24/7 emergency response. They're dispatched to local hospital emergency rooms when someone shows up presenting as a domestic violence or sexual assault survivor. So they're really kind of first on the scene with survivors, and their whole task is to provide emotional support, information, just advocacy, a hand to hold. And it's right there in the emergency room setting, which is challenging. Some people don't want us there at all, and that's fine. We'll leave some information and we'll go. So we really are very committed to meeting people where they are in the moment, which changes all of the time. So there's no one track to healing. Restraining orders are not for everyone. There are many people in our community for whom law enforcement is not their first option to call because that doesn't feel safe due to past experience or immigration status or any number of reasons. So our goal is to create space, to create an opening, to extend a hand, and then really stay curious about what people need to stay safe. And often leaving isn't the safest thing. There's a lot of misconception in domestic violence work that, why do people stay? And there are so many reasons why people stay, whether it's financial or the children, or it's actually, you feel like you can control your safety a little bit more when you're in the same environment as the person who's causing harm. You can read their body language. You can hear if they sigh that certain way that indicates a fight's about to break out. So we really do just meet each person as they come through the door with their unique circumstances and their own wisdom about their own experience and their goals that they want to reach. I normally lead with the caveat that we provide services to people of all genders. Our legal name is Haven Women's Center, and that's actually something that we're working on because women are not the only victims of domestic violence, of sexual abuse. So all of our services are open to people of all genders, men, women, and everybody in between. We are open and welcoming and inclusive of LGBTQI+ folks. So however people identify, however they can come as they are, and then we will provide the services as best we can, especially in this unusual environment. I just want to talk a little bit about our housing program too. That's something that has really expanded. I've been at Haven 9 years, it was 9 years in January, but I'd say probably the last 4 years, our housing department has really grown. So we have quite a few master lease units, so that we hold the lease and then we can move people in and out as needed. So it's a great transitional housing option from shelter, which is how do you rebuild a life in 60 days, right? 60 to 90 days when you've left with nothing but your purse or your wallet, if you're lucky, and your kids. So we can provide advocacy with property owners, rental assistance, for up to a year for people who need it. We furnish full houses for people who need it. And we provide lots of case management. And there's always that level of safety planning and crisis intervention, because I tell you, healing is not a linear path. You know, it's not the straightforward movement to healed. It's a spiral type of 2 steps forward, 1 step back sometimes. Lastly, I just want to share a little bit about our human trafficking department. That is also something that has grown a lot. They offer all of the services that our shelter services provide, including housing. So there's links to behavioral health services and court accompaniment, legal support, case management, peer counseling that's really specific to trafficking issues, which you can't just do general counseling. I think sometimes for folks, people really need to get information that's specific to their situation. Again, I provided our link to our website because it's the best place to get more detailed information. When people say, what's Haven and what do you do? It's like, oh my gosh, do you have 4 hours? Because we really, we do a lot. And that in a nutshell is what Haven does. I was asked to share a little bit about who are our clients. Man, our clients they're us, you know, they're people in your family, they're people at your kids' school, they're the rates of family violence. I think it's 1 in 4 women and 1 in 10 men experience some form of relationship, interpersonal violence. The statistics don't favor any one population. You know, it's not, oh, it's a poor people's issue. Oh, it's only happening in, Asian communities. Oh, that only happens with adults. No, it's kind of an equal opportunity situation. So our clients are, they're toddlers and their grandmothers and their teenage boys who are gang affiliated that we talk with the juvenile hall, who have these moments of recognition of like, wow, I might be a little controlling in my relationships. I should work on that. So it's hard to say who our clients are. Our clients are all of us. And then I was also asked to address, how can people assist? I think know us. You know that we're a resource. We've been here 44 years. We have offices in our primary administrative offices in downtown Modesto, as is our youth center, which is about half a mile away from that office. And we have an office in Turlock. It's on Star Avenue, 301 Star Avenue. It's across from what used to be the skate park and TID office there. The best way to reach us is through the phone numbers that I linked in the chat, because dropping into our office isn't so much of an option these days until public health issues lighten up a little bit. We are a nonprofit, so we're community supported, and we receive a lot of grant and foundation funding that can ebb and flow. 2 years ago, we had 15 people in the youth and prevention department. Today we have 8, and that's so much because grants sunset and that money goes, and we've built a big program, but we can't always sustain it without new sources of funding coming in. So right now it seems like housing and human trafficking are getting a lot of federal and state support, and so those programs feel really robust. We've received a lot of COVID specific funding from a lot of different places, and that has really helped us with our shelter services, because our shelter is not large. It's a 4-bedroom home in a regular neighborhood somewhere in the county. People are sharing tight space, and so to keep our staff and our clients safe, we've been using hotel nights to keep, whether it's stay at a hotel for 14 days and kind of make sure that you're COVID free, and then enter folks into the shelter. So we're doing more. I think a lot of us can relate with virtual work. You're working twice as hard to get half the result, and it's very tiring 1 year out. So I just honor whatever you do in the world to bring good to the world. It's hard. It's hard right now, but we're not doing it alone. And so I'm always happy to have the opportunity to talk about Haven and what we do. And I'll put my direct contact info into the chat also. If anyone ever wants to follow up, you're welcome to call or email, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
All right. One of the questions that I was going to ask on behalf of everyone, because we do record this, is if someone had something that they wanted to donate, because that does happen a lot in our club. Maybe they, I don't know, have an overwhelming urge to go to Costco and buy you all the feminine hygiene products you could possibly need or something. Do you guys take those kinds of donations right now during the pandemic as well?
We are, yeah, we're working them out. Some people, I'll be very honest, some people will say, hey, I want to donate 40 bags of clothing from my 90-year-old mother-in-law. That option we might hold off on right now, just because we don't have the capacity to sort through all of that and do that safely. If someone wants to donate Costco feminine hygiene products, we'll find a staff person who can coordinate that and get that done. So I would say calling our main office phone number that I listed is the best way to do that. And it's prominent on our website. So if you just Google Haven, our direct numbers are right there at the lead. We also have a clothing closet, which I forgot to mention. So a lot of people do want to donate clothing. That's in our Turlock space because it used to be it was some part of the police department. So it was like used to be the evidence locker. So now we've transformed it into this really amazing clothing closet.
Fantastic. Does anybody else have any questions? I can't see everyone right now because we're on speaker view. Hold on, let me flip through here. This is not my skill set using the Zoom. It's like a year in and I'm still like, oh God, there's little squares.
Right.
Can I jump in and ask a question?
Yes.
All right, this is Val. I was wondering, are there any volunteer opportunities that we can partner with you?
I love that. Thank you so much. We do have a volunteer program. That's also listed on our website under Get Involved. I think there's a lot of detail. In order to provide any kind of client-facing services, even if they're virtual, volunteers have to go through our 65-hour training in order to have confidentiality from the state mandate. And now not everyone has 65 hours to dedicate, and we're doing it on Zoom now, and it's only 3 times a year. So it's a big commitment. So there are often ways that we can find for folks to get involved who can't meet that volunteer training commitment. They would just be less kind of interaction with client information. So we couldn't, we do have volunteers who do go through training and they'll come right alongside our support group leaders and help co-facilitate support groups, or come with us to, Walnut Elementary School in Turlock and do, kids count groups at a school. So lots of ways to get involved.
I know that we have our Circle K club on here as well, which is our club that is located at CSU Stanislaus. If they were interested in having a volunteer service opportunity, because they are still doing service stuff, do they just reach out to your website as well?
Yes, see, even though I made a list of services, I also forgot to mention that we have an advocate and an educator stationed at San State. And that's in partnership with the Title IX folks in Title IX, so that if a student were to, say, experience sexual assault as a student, whether it's on or off campus, they can reach out to our confidential advocate and not have to involve Title IX. So it kind of gives them a more confidential route, because once you disclose sexual abuse to like a resident advisor or a teacher or someone affiliated with the school, they have to take certain steps, which includes informing law enforcement, and not all survivors want that. So I can put the contact information. I mean, you can always call our main number for everything. If you just said, hey, I work at San State. I heard you have some people who work there. How do I get in touch with them? Jessica Carroll is our advocate there now. I could put her info here.
And a couple people are thanking you for coming in the chat. Anybody else have any questions before we let Holly Grace get back to her morning? Because I know, much like me, she has kids to get ready for school. So
in their bedrooms. So yeah, that's pretty.
In their bedrooms. I know. Isn't it the best? I'm like, enjoy this
school.
Enjoy this cereal. I'll be back in a minute.
Well, I appreciate the invitation so much. If you think of things later, please reach out to us. We've been here a long time and we're not going anywhere. We'd love to go out of business, but sadly we're still needed.
Well, thank you again for joining us, and we're going to let you hop off and we're going to talk about our board meeting.
All right.
Excellent.
Happy Friday, everybody. Bye-bye.
Happy Friday. All right. So the next thing on here is that our board meeting was last Tuesday. Exciting news for those of you who have been wondering, we have started to give away money again. So we were able to do $750 worth of charitable donations to organizations in the community, and those will be listed in the board meeting minutes. I'm not going to go over them on this call because most of the people were there. but they are listed there. Also, we agreed as a board, we had some issues with the Savor Charcuterie fundraiser. Mainly the issue was that Dust Bowl Brewing did not offer to help us with beer or sell us beer. If we cannot pull off that fundraiser by St. Patrick's Day, we will just move it to a holiday a little bit later in the year. So know that that's still going to be a thing if you don't hear anything real soon. As a friendly reminder, we already talked about See's Candy, but we also have the Willie's Pizza fundraiser coming up on 4/27. So don't forget about that one. And every single meeting from now until the end of the month, we're going to talk about elections. Does anybody want to be nominated or to be part of the board of directors or to be part of the officers? If so, please let me know or nominate someone else right now. You can unmute yourself. It's a time of nomination and fun. No?
If he is willing, with all the stuff going on in his life, I would actually like to nominate or see interest if Davis would like to join our board in some capacity.
Davis is on the board. I think if
Maybe secretary?
maybe he would like an officer position this year, Davis. Shiny new baby and a shiny new badge. What do you think?
Yeah, like secretary?
You
I need
secretary-
a co-secretary, Davis.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a co-position if you're a secretary. Only one of you has to be at either meeting. I mean, you can both go anytime you want to, but also usually you divide up the duties. I hear that we've had a co-secretary relationship since Ruthie was secretary. So
Yes.
what do you
No,
think,
thank
Davis?
you. I'm probably gonna have to pass this year. I don't know what a new baby entails, so
A lot of work.
maybe next year.
Rightfully so. Yes. Yes. Smart man.
Like year 2, you can bring the baby with you to the board meeting, and then I'm just kidding.
And I'll come babysit while you take secretary position.
Oh my goodness. So I'm going to change myself back to gallery view here. Okay. Anybody else that if you want to nominate someone or you think someone would be great at a role or you have waited your whole life to be asked to be on the board, this is me asking you to be on the board. Let me know that you're interested. And we're just working through that process. I believe we have to ask total of 3 times. So we asked last week, we asked this week, we're going to ask again next week, and then we'll move along with the election process. If you're freaking out because you're like, I haven't heard any names, so far the people who have been nominated have either passed or like myself, I said that I would stay 1 more year if you guys really needed me for 1 more year, just because I'm already used to the COVID process. So
Ali, shall we clarify the fact that pretty much everyone has volunteered to stay in their current roles?
yes.
And the only
So-
people that don't are going to be fined relentlessly for the upcoming
Rest of their lives,
year
right?
in some capacity. I know, or I can find out where you live, Norma.
So this is how the board meeting went. I said
Funny guy.
I was like, I would stay, but if I stay, you all have to stay with me. And they were like, that seems fair. That seems fair, because it's a weird COVID time to have transitions anyhow. So, but if someone else wants to be president, I will gladly let you be president. So speak up, or forever hold your president's badge. We have a raffle to do. We don't have a lot of raffle participants this week. The light week. It happens. As a friendly reminder, if you want to join next week's raffle, you contact David, or please contact David. I'm only saying that because I'm getting a lot of See's Candy contacts and you're going to get lost. So we have 3 things to raffle off today. We have another mask from the farmhouse that was donated. Let's give that one a go. Vern won a lovely mask for the female person of his choice, unless he really likes really girly masks. Then congratulations, Vern. Who didn't even hear. Does that count present to win if you don't even know you won, Vern? My goodness. All right. Oops, that didn't refresh. Flywheel changes. You know, I do this every week, and yet here I am struggling with the wheel. All right, number 2 is our, we have a box of salted almonds donated by Grizzly Nuts. Chris.
Woohoo.
Right, Chris?
I think David won the last box of salted nuts. You guys are
He-
gonna have
he
almonds
did.
for days.
Hey, we don't argue with that.
I know, they're
Yeah.
delicious, aren't they? All right, and then of course we have a $5 winner. John, I think John is actually there. Is that John right past Vern? I think it is. So John was our $5 winner.
All right.
So Vern, I have your mask, and John, your $5 comes from David, or you can let it ride if you want to just apply it to a different week, your choice.
Good reason to come out and talk fishing with you, John.
It's $5, of course, to enter this raffle, and you guys are probably like, wow, this is, you know, not that big of a deal, but honestly, we've raised over $400 through this raffle process since we started it, which is part of the reason that we are able to do things like give out money and all those different things. So I have dinner anywhere tickets, like to donate for the next raffle. Is that what you're saying?
No, actually, Dinner Anywhere is a $75 ticket. It's actually a donation, and you get the opportunity to win $4,500 towards a trip anywhere in the CNH district. And so it's a great donation, and if you win, you could go maybe for Thanksgiving in Hawaii, because $4,500 goes really far.
Wow, that's kind of a
Yeah.
cool thing.
Mhm.
Can
And
you
it's for the CNH Children's Fund.
can you email the information for that to the Kiwanis email address that we use to send out
Absolutely.
minutes? And that way, whoever's doing the link this week can attach that, because I did not even know that was a thing. Also, covered at the board was the fact that there are 2 conventions still this year, one in Salt Lake City, Utah, and one in San Diego. And that's if they get to be in person. You know, these things change all the time. But if you are interested in attending a convention on behalf of our Kiwanis Club, please let me know, and we will work through together with Lori what that means, because I right now they're still showing as in person on all the emails they send us, but I think the first one's probably going to roll into being virtual. I don't know about the second one.
The Salt Lake City one has decided to roll hybrid. It's not going to be a voting convention. It's just going to be educational sessions. So Salt Lake, the location will be rolled for 2 years, and they'll have a full convention in 2 years in Salt Lake City.
Okay. So that one is in June. If you would like to attend a Zoom learning opportunity, let me know. We will figure out how to get you on to that Zoom learning opportunity. Also, I promised Lori I would announce every single meeting that we are still looking for an LTG elect. So if you are interested and have previously served as a president of a Kiwanis club, please let Lori or myself know so that we can forward you off to the appropriate person. And if right now you're like, I nominate Larry, Larry has already declined. So that is everything on our list for today. We're only about 5 minutes over what we normally do. We will have another speaker next week. One last time, I'm going to say, don't forget your C's Candy money is due next Friday. Other than that, have a lovely weekend. Chris, thank you for joining us from vacation. Davis, congratulations on the baby. And Brian, it's good to have you back. Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.
Have a great weekend.
Bye, guys.
Bye. See you guys next week.
Okay.